Yay!
Yahoo!
Recording.
We did it. We did it. We
The
did
Kiki
it.
does the slappy swish.
This is the seated slappy swish for anybody watching right now.
Yes.
So what's up,
Okay.
dude?
Welcome to our Zoom
Welcome.
hang, quarantine times.
Indeed. We are in our homes, right on top of each other, actually.
Yeah, Kira lives up there, except she's on the other side of the building.
Mm-hmm. We're catty corner and down. Now, do you say kitty corner or do you say catty corner?
I don't really use that term, so I don't say either.
What? What's wrong with you?
Kitty corner, I guess I say kitty corner.
Yeah, I used to say kitty corner. And then in adulthood, whenever I heard someone using that term, they would say catty corner. And I was like, I thought it was kitty corner. And so just over time, because more people said a catty corner, I just started saying catty corner. Just to, blend in with the crowd, I guess.
Yeah, I guess since I don't really use the term at all, I have no idea. But
Anyway.
Any Hoosier.
So how was, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is obviously how your self-quarantine has been going, and what your feelings are about the future. But then also to bring up the fact that the new moon is today.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk a little bit about
some
of the things astrologically that are being said right now. I posted something on our Facebook page from Chani, ChaniNicholas.com. We're big fans.
Definitely.
And I posted something from her, and I just think that it's kind of cool, kind of fun, insightful to see how the stars align with this massive thing that's going on right now.
Yeah, and what did you see in your Chani reading about how it all aligns?
Well, mostly the one that I had posted on Facebook was about Saturn in Aquarius and how it doesn't happen all that often, and the times that it does historically have been really, massively shifting times. One of the periods of time, it's like 3 years or so, right? And this one started in December of No. I mean, you know what? Before I misquote it, I should actually probably look it up. But she talks about how this transgression across the sky or whatever hasn't, only happens during times where collectively there's been massive shifts in how we order ourselves collectively, right? So she says from today through July 1st, Saturn will begin its journey through Aquarius. In Aquarius, Saturn seeks to build innovative social structures. This air sign is known for its intellectual rigor, humanitarianism, and thoughtful visions for the future. In Aquarius, Saturn focuses on the needs of the group, bringing forth rules, regulations, and systems change for the masses. The last time Saturn was in Aquarius, 1991 to 1993, apartheid was dismantled. Before that, Saturn was in Aquarius from 1962 to 1964, when the Civil Rights Act, which during the Civil Rights Act, which banned school segregation and employment discrimination on the basis of race, religion, color, sex, or national origin, was signed into law in the United States. And before that, Saturn was in Aquarius from 1932 to 1935. The Great Depression had begun in 1929, causing unemployment to reach 25%, which, by the way, projections of unemployment up to 30%. After all of this.
Oh yeah, I mean the unemployment website has already crashed, and they've had to move it to a larger server.
These years of Saturn in Aquarius saw the beginning of FDR's New Deal, which brought Social Security, government infrastructure, and banking regulations to the U.S. Saturn is back for more.
Definitely. It definitely is. Yeah, so I get this. I don't know if you know this, Kira, but I get a new moon subscription box every month.
Mm, okay.
Um, from it's a company called Lunya, um,
Okay.
Lunya, and they sent me a little new moon journal. So I haven't written in it yet today, but I'll be writing my intentions from the new moon, and then there's, the first quarter moon intentions and so on and so forth. So,
Oh, that's
um,
fun.
yeah, so I was going to be writing in this journal this morning anyway. So when you texted me this morning that this was our topic, I was like, oh, good timing. Um,
Perfect.
yeah, so in my little box, I get this card that tells me the dates of the moon phases, um,
Mm-hmm.
and what the moon is about, the history of it. It's very this box is very like tribal. It's frequently talking about how tribes related to the moons. Um, like this one is the pink moon, named by North American tribes for the beginning of blossoms that spring brings. Finally, we've made it through winter, and the blooms are a call to grow. So, so this
Unless
moon,
you live in Chicago,
unless
in
you
which
live
you
in
have
Chicago,
at least 2 more months.
yeah, before anything blooms.
Well, things start to bloom. It's just cold as hell still.
Yeah,
Like,
it's still cold as hell, but
and
things
we
are.
always get at least one more snowstorm
Oh yeah, we had one
in
like
April.
yesterday.
In April, I know,
Oh yeah,
but in April for
we'll have
sure.
another one for sure next month.
Yeah, I totally
Um,
forgot that it snowed yesterday.
it did snow yesterday. Well, when you're not going outside or anything,
I went on a bike ride yesterday, but it was in the early part of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was
Yep.
nice. It was a beautiful day until it wasn't.
Until it wasn't. Yeah.
Which is generally how that goes.
That's how Chicago works.
So, and with the new moon, like I have a pretty simplistic like understanding of astrology. I love to follow it. I have the things that I read or blah blah blah. But it's pretty simplistic view. But as far as new moons are concerned, from what I understand, it's like what you create in the new moon is kind of it's amplified, right,
Mhm.
by the new moon. And so what I find interesting about the timing of our situation right now is, you know, there's this opportunity for a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us, to be innovative and inventive. A lot of us have to figure things out right now,
Mhm.
because um, it's not looking like it's gonna be a fast recovery. Um, and I think that because of the detriment that this will take on economically, you know, people are going to have to figure out ways to make it work.
Yeah.
And especially with how slow legislation is moving at this point around all of it. So, I think
Tell me
really,
about it.
this is an opportune time for some of us with the means and with the time and with the availability of internet and with which this is the kind of situation where you're like, should internet be like a basic human right? But anyway, like, wait a minute. um it's an opportunity here to like kind of if you believe in the whole astrological thing, like really amplify something new, create something new in the
Mhm.
spirit and in the energy of the new moon, and especially with what you just read with the pink moon.
Mhm.
um, you know uh, Looking forward to sort of whatever you're sowing blossoming.
Mhm.
And so inside of that, Samee, what are you sowing?
What am I sewing? Oh my goodness. Well, a lot of it's funny because in the chart of my houses, uh Saturn entering Aquarius, as you mentioned, is happening in my seventh house of committed
I
relationships.
should have grabbed my chart.
I know. It's happening in my seventh house of committed relationships, which is interesting. I do have a partner right now who possibly has coronavirus. Possibly. They haven't been tested, but they are having difficulty breathing and might have to go to the hospital as a result. So partnerships have been very present in the forefront of my mind um, this past week. And not to mention, there's some drama around that, joys of polyamory. Um, so
Drama. Although to be fair, right before getting on this call, nobody knows it, but me and my husband just got in a yelling match.
Yeah, so I mean, in that area of my life, there's a lot that I'm sewing, like trying to figure out how to navigate the boundaries of those relationships. Not to mention, like, my husband dating someone, and how are they going to meet up during this time? Like, do they get to be in relationship together? They are meeting up today to go on a walk together. I think a social distancing walk, but we all know that that's not going to be social distancing. um, so, so I mean, navigating those relationships inside of quarantine is a very interesting thing. And I know that divorces have increased by like 600% in some countries, but
Wow.
during quarantine, oh yeah, when people were forced to spend time together, it doesn't always turn out well. But it's turning out well for me and Joseph. We're having a great time. We're you know chatting more openly than what we normally would, and that's been going great. My business is running as usual. We already had a virtual platform that we could use, so we've just fallen back on that, which things are running as usual there. um, which is great because I provide therapy to people. And, during this difficult time where people are losing jobs, losing income, um, and, some people who are quarantining don't live with anyone, don't have any pets. So then, if they're generally not social people, how do they start moving out into that, um, being a social being? Because, when you're choosing not to be social, that's different from when you're not allowed to be social. So when you haven't built those relationships, um, to like call someone on Zoom, uh, and then you're forced to quarantine, it's like, oh shit, I'm alone. So it's a great thing that my therapy practice has been able to keep on its normal trajectory, with all of this going on. So we're happy that we're able to provide the care and support to people that we need. Something else that I'm sewing during this time, I'm working with my lawyer and accountant um, right now in discussion about how to start a 501c3, a nonprofit organization, under my company so that we can provide more free therapy to people. Of course, that is a much longer conversation than what this quarantine might actually afford us. But we're doing our best to get um, to get fundraising in. I'll be starting a social media campaign for that, to try and bring fundraising in to provide people with therapy who are losing jobs, losing money, losing insurance, so that they still have the mental health support needed. So that's a lot of what I'm playing with there, is like how to get free mental health care to people. And
which is already something that you had been working on. It's just that now there's
a larger demand
boost
for it.
of demand, exactly.
Yeah,
well,
and
a boost of awareness, and support now too.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I will say that I've noticed in all of this is how aware and supportive everybody is of the people who are going to be economically totally screwed by this, and that's been pretty amazing. Mark and I donated to a neighborhood fund that raised, I think in the first, like, I can't remember how many days it was between when we donated and they sent out the email, maybe 3-4 days, over a weekend, maybe, $14,500.
Wow.
And it was the Edgewater neighborhood fund.
Yeah.
And so I was like, holy buckets, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so that's, that's pretty neat. And I think that there's a heightened awareness around it, which is really cool. God bless the internet. That's all I gotta say. God bless the
Yeah.
internet.
I keep pondering to myself that when this is all over, and who knows when that'll be, uh, but when this is all over, what will have had the bigger impact? The coronavirus itself or the economic crash?
Oh, I don't know. That's a tough one. I have yet to listen to it, but apparently Mark was telling me a little earlier, um, that on this podcast that we both listen to, I think he listens to it a little more than I get to it, called The Daily from the New York Times. Their episode today is projecting what things are going to be looking like,
Mm-hmm.
because of the slow identification of people who have the virus. And I didn't catch all of it, but he's like, they're going to have people lined up and down like the hospital hallways, like sick in beds.
Mm-hmm.
um and and that sounds pretty horrible and pretty catastrophic. So uh and then on the other hand, you know still having a curiosity around what the actual mortality rate is. It's like 4% in Italy, and then people on the other hand are saying, yeah, but everybody in Italy is old. And I'm like, I don't know
Yeah,
what the
it's
I
point
didn't
nine.
research that. I
It's
didn't look into that.
0.93. Italy has 24% of their population are over the age of 65. Germany has 21% of the population over the age of 65. And Germany's numbers are 0.93% fatality. So
That's pretty low.
Germany and South Korea are keeping their fatality rates really low, but that's just because they're providing more testing. The more tests we get out there, the more people we can confirm have coronavirus who aren't with severe symptoms or dying from it. The only
Right.
people we're testing right now are the people that have severe symptoms. And therefore, we're showing that, 4% of those people with severe symptoms are dying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We can't get a test, even if you have all of the symptoms. If you have no fever, you can't get a test.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to have all of the symptoms and severely. You have to be going to the hospital. Like my partner right now has all of the symptoms except a fever, so they can't get a test. And now, because they're a week in and their breathing continues to get worse and their body aching continues to get worse and their health is just like declining over the past week, now they're looking at possibly actually going to the emergency room. But those are the cases that are getting tested.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
cases, those of us who feel like we, have a minor cold or having minor symptoms, or those of us who don't have any symptoms, because there are a lot of people who are passing it around who don't have any symptoms. Those people are not getting tested. So I think once we actually start getting those tests out there and seeing how many people actually have this thing that aren't facing severe symptoms or dying from it, we're going to see that I think the reason that our hospitals are so full is because this is just so easy to pass around.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's going to get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And, unfortunately, we have leadership that not only like misleads the population, but also has only their own interests in mind, whether it be, reelection, economic, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, stock market. I don't know that they're actually all that concerned about like, a dude that waits tables at a local restaurant, or,
Yeah, i.e. my
like
husband.
gyms are,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
right.
Yep.
It's pretty rough. And that's what, see, the thing about the creating a newly in the new moon for me, and what I'm looking at here with my business, for backstory for anybody who's listening to this who's not aware, I have been doing online live classes since October of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
um And I've always gotten like a little bit of a crowd, mostly because I have a modality of movement that not a lot of people teach, but is becoming very popular.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I've been able to attract people from all over the country to take my somatics classes, and then it was in October of last year. So we'd been doing that for about a year, and it was before we launched like a class schedule
Mm-hmm.
online, and that was October 6 months ago. And so what's really interesting about all of that astrologically is I remember reading my horoscopes. I remember when we were on vacation and I was reading and it was talking about like everything that you have like put in place is about to basically get used.
Uh-huh. Yeah, all this work that you've been putting in and
All of this work you've been
not
putting
getting any
in,
outcome from.
all of these, but it specifically kept saying like every one of the locations I was reading from my astrology was saying like the infrastructure you're putting in place right now, it's going to come into use. And and so what's really interesting about all of this is like Monday, a week and a day ago, um I decided that I was going to up all of the online classes that I was teaching,
Mm-hmm.
and also encourage our team to do the same. And we went from like, I think it was like 1, 2, like 5 classes up to 10 classes within a day, just pivoted.
Wow.
And, but we already had all the infrastructure set up. We had our branding already done. Like
Mm-hmm.
Carrie can turn around uh, uh, a piece of like beautiful marketing
Yeah.
like that.
Right.
But it has been a grueling, expensive, laborious, exhausting road.
Mm-hmm.
But what's even more hilarious is like 10 years of group fitness experience, right? Like a Pilates certification, a
Mm-hmm.
cardio kickboxing certification, that I'm just like, when the fuck am I ever going to use these again, right?
During the
And all of a
pandemic.
sudden, like Carrie and I are like, well, during the pandemic, and and so the reason we started offering those is obviously like both of them require no equipment whatsoever. They're totally different kinds of workouts,
Mm-hmm.
especially from what people are offering right now, which is like yoga. Everybody's
Right.
offering yoga.
Well, because yoga is what you can do at home without any
you
equipment.
know and so and Mark's CrossFit gym, they went live too for all their members, and they're inviting anybody and everybody who wants to do their stuff live to join, which I think is
Nice.
really great.
Mm-hmm.
um so so yeah, it's just been interesting to like, it almost feels a little clairvoyant in a
Mm-hmm.
way, where it's like, oh, this is finally gonna like, all this work, all this prep work, all this, stuff that we put into place my astrology says so, that it's in place, and it's been created, and we just created our April schedule, which we'll be putting out.
Mm-hmm.
We gained a yoga instructor,
Nice.
so, and we'll be having I think it's 12 classes a week. um, and so it's been an interesting journey because I work in the fitness industry, and um, it's gonna be tough to work in the fitness industry, I think, for much longer.
Yeah.
Not, I don't think so for us though. I, I like we transitioned our personal clients over to virtual.
Mm-hmm.
Been working in the virtual realm since 2010.
Yeah.
My first virtual client lived in Thailand. Um,
Oh
and
yeah.
so,
I mean, when you already have that infrastructure set up, it oh, it makes this whole thing so much easier. I mean, like
yeah,
we lucked out with
we did.
having like
We lucked out.
we lucked out because like I said, my company has an embedded encrypted virtual office like in our scheduling and billing system. Like we were already set up to just do the switch, you
Mhm.
know. Um and so we didn't miss a beat.
Yeah, totally.
And
Nothing.
yeah, and it's like, and both of my therapists, because because I do couples therapy, and I have a couples therapist and I have my own therapist, and both of them are like, boo, I have phone option. Because if you're not familiar with like videoing options, you have to figure out like, oh, what is HIPAA compliant and how do I use it, and what's most effective and which has the best quality. So yeah, I mean, but you and I inside of our companies have already done all that work. You have Zoom, the quality of it, where in your house it's most effective.
My foyer.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm very excited. Oh, I'm moving this week.
You are moving this week. Yes.
So
Interesting.
another new moon.
So
Sewing.
you're sewing your
SEW.
yeah.
SEW is how you spell sew.
Sewing your
Least I'm good looking. So
I'm very curious about how that whole move goes.
Should be interesting. It's gonna be
quarantine's
me
moving.
and Mark with a truck. So what could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
So yeah, so I want to encourage everybody. I want to encourage everybody who's watching this to comment below what they're sewing in this new moon and inside of this new space, new way of being collectively as a society, and share with us because we want to know.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, please share.
And I think we're going to be getting back up live after I move and all of that. 99 Perspectives guys are going to be getting everybody streaming so that we can actually do live stuff again.
Cool. Then you'll
so
see
people will be able to comment and
my plants and my windows and
be a part of our live stream and be a live part, an active part of our quarantine.
Yeah.
But inside of that, I have a client in 9 minutes.
Well, there you go. I don't have much in 9 minutes, but I'm going to get to reading and doing some self-care because that's what I like to do in the morning.
Sounds good. All right.
Good. Thank you all for watching us and being patient with us and being patient with yourselves. And Kira for this interesting wave. Have a good one, y'all.
Yeah, peace.